what's up, Growmies? Welcome to episode 8, the flower stage. We're going to be talking about everything that you need to do to finish off your plants. If you go back, we talked about our germination stage, our seeding stage, the vegetation stage, environment, what tents you need, what kind of fans you'd like to use, genetics. We talked about everything to simplify it for you new gardeners, or if somebody that's been growing for a little while and they just want a little bit, get back to the basics. That's what I wanted to show you guys in this Chalk Talk episode is, no matter how long you've grown, it's always good to stick to the basics and get back to where you started. Because there's a lot of information out there and you want to just do what works for you, and that's all I want to do is maybe help you guys save some money and skip some steps along the way. I wasn't fortunate enough. I spent more money than I need to. I went down rabbit holes and paths that I didn't need to go down to. So this is me trying to just stray you away from, maybe not gardening the way I do, but take some of the information I use and then use it in your own way. And if there's something you don't like, just move on to something else and see if that works for you. It's all about for what works for you in your garden. So the flower stage, we're all about environment, as you know. So we're going to start talking about VPD. The first few weeks, 1 to 2 weeks of flower, I like to stay in the vegetation VPD range, that 0.8 to 1.0, the higher humidities, just to ease that transition. We don't want to shock them all at once with that change of light schedule, different types of water, different types of environment. We just kind of want to ease and slowly get into flower. So I stick to veg practices my first 2 weeks of flower. That's when they're going to start stretching. So that's when super cropping and scrogging, tucking under your nets like we talked about, is going to become most crucial because they're stretching faster than you can keep up. And you work so hard in veg to keep this even canopy, and all could be lost when you get into flower during stretch phase. And sometimes it's going to be out of control. You could cause more stress than you need to. But for the most part, you want to be able to keep that canopy nice and happy, nice and even up into week 3 of flower is when I'm going to stop doing any high stress training like your super cropping. You can still bend and weave, but after this point they're pretty much done stretching, so you really be done with the bending and weaving, the LST, the super cropping. So keep that in mind when you're getting into the flowering stage, that you're not going to jump right into flowering VPD, that 1.2 to 1.5, which is when you get into week 4 of flower. That's going to be dropping the humidity. You can maintain your temperatures that you've been using in vegetation. I don't like to get crazy into the high 80s, mid 80s. Some growers do. LEDs like warmer light, or grow better. The plants grow better under the light with warmer LEDs, as I'm starting to learn. I haven't fact checked this, but a lot of growers like that. But if you can maintain that mid 70s range, keep that all throughout your whole grow. If you can maintain 76 degrees, run that from seedling all the way to flower. Just change your humidity to get these VPD numbers right. We talked about it. Go check out the pulse chart. It's a very good chart to use. Environment runs with the VPD. Flower is very crucial, just like in the seedling stage. Veg, you can lackadaisical, you can get lack a bit with it without having too many issues, but seedling stage, they're so young and immature that you could kill them off, and in flower stage you could do damage as far as getting mold, botrytis, and bud rot, a bunch of things that you don't want to have. So that's why environment's key. You want fresh air moving around with your fans. You want an exhaust pulling that bad air out, and maybe an intake pulling fresh air in. Like I said, just recreating outdoors, keeping the environment happy, especially in flower. So training, you're at the beginning of we talked about weeks 1 through 3 is when you're going to train the most. You're going to be super cropping, banging and weaving, even this canopy during that stretch phase. After that, you can defoliate as much as you want, as much as your plants are showing you that they're happy. Clean up some of them sites that are covering bud sites. If you have a leaf covering a bud site, pull it off there. You're not going to hurt anything, especially if you have a nice green, healthy, happy canopy. They're going to be able to take some of that defoliation all the way into the harvest stage. So when you're getting to the later flowering, like the week 4s to week 6 and 7, you're going to be getting this chunky density. They're done stretching, so now they're going to start packing weight. You're going to see these nugs start swelling and swelling. You're going to want to watch this, because when they stop swelling, you're going to kind of enter this ripening stage, is what we like to call it. That's when the trichomes are starting to build and produce their THC and their CBN and so on. So you're going to want to get a jeweler looper to be able to look at these trichomes, or you can zoom in, make a video on your phone, and then you can zoom in and actually look at the trichomes on your phone that way. That's a fun little tip that I like to use if it's hard for you to get down in there with the jeweler's loop. And when you're checking trichomes, try to check different areas. If you have a canopy that you've been going around and rubbing up against it, you're going to burst trichomes and it's going to give you a false read. So maybe do some medium sized or some middle range nugs, and maybe do a top cola that you haven't necessarily run into or had problems with. Some people like to harvest the top of their plant and then let the bottoms grow and get more of the amber effects, more cloudy, because the end game is to have as many cloudy trichomes as you can. Clear is just not ready yet. The THC isn't fully developed. So when you get into the cloudy stage, that's when you're going to start looking for amber, which is degrading. And sometimes you may never get amber, and sometimes amber is going to show different types of styles. So stick to looking for cloudy trichomes is what I like to do. Is I really don't have a ratio. I just look for no clear trichomes. You can go about it many ways. The more amber is going to give you more CBN effects, and the more of the clear cloudy is going to give you the more cerebral uplifting effects. But like I said, the clear is not ready to be harvesting. Look at these trichomes. You know, you get into week 8, 9 flower, week 10 of flower. That's when you're going to be looking at these the most. I don't think you can really finish plants around 8 weeks. Some do, and don't get me wrong, they can, but it's better to let these go, I always say, 2 weeks longer than when you think they are ready. You really can't harvest too late unless you're getting all amber. But if you have a bunch of cloudy and you're just like, I'm not seeing enough amber, wait a little bit. You can go a little bit longer. You're not going to hurt anything. Like I said, this is your medicine. Grow it the way you want to do it. You can grow. You could harvest it as soon as you see 3 cloudy trichomes if you want to. You may not get a very good high from it, but if you can't wait and you're excited for your harvest, you can do whatever you want to do. It's your plants at the end of the day, and I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just showing you, once again, what works in my garden. So the PPFT, the photon flux density, that's going to be what your light's going to be at. You're going to be, you know, in vegetation or seedling stage, you're at like, you know, 200, 300. And then when you get into veg, you're 400 or 500, maybe creeping into 6. So week 1 of flower, stick at your vegetation light. Week 2 of flower, maybe turn it up 5%. And then week 3 of flower, 5%. And then so on and so forth to where you get into the 600 to 900 U-moles for your PPFD. I don't like to go past 900. You can start to get into the thousands if you'd like to. I'd make sure your environment's on point. Make sure you have that heat in there. Make sure you have CO2 coming in there, or you're going to stress your plants out too much. You're going to be watering more. And so make sure if you're going to ride higher than that, make sure you know what you're doing, because you could stress your plants out to where they're not happy and they're not going to produce the way you would like them to produce. So then that's pretty much it. You know, you got your lights, you got your environment, you're looking for your trichomes, you're smelling these great aromas. You know, it's such an exciting time to harvest, and I'm so excited for you guys to be able to harvest, because it's the coolest experience and it never gets old. Trim gel, on the other hand, will get old, but there's techniques and times that you can and equipment that you can use to make it easier, and we'll talk about in the next video when we talk about harvesting and drying and curing. And then that'll be it. I just wanted to give you guys a quick, you know, seed to harvest kind of on the board, writing numbers and stuff to maybe help you a little bit. You know, maybe you don't gain anything from this, but I think I did, because it helped me get back to the basics, and that's what I want you guys to do. Experienced or new growers, I think this all can help you out. This is all very good information. I don't pull information that's, you know, a myth. I stay away from bro science. This is factual scientific data. Your VPDs, you know, your environment, your nutrients, your watering, you know, all that is data driven information that I learn and I want to give to you guys, so maybe you don't have to search down it and maybe worry about going down a rabbit hole. I will not lead you down a rabbit hole. Whatever I do in my garden, I showed you here, and I have very good success in my garden. I have since I've started. And so I appreciate you guys for following along. I hope that you guys are having an exciting grow. I can't wait for you to get to flower stage. And if you're in flower stage, get ready, because you're about to see some amazing medicine that, you know, there's nothing like growing your own. You could smoke your buddies that grows your own. And the fact that you put your own hard work, effort, and intelligence into that grow is going to give you a totally different type of high. I get goosebumps right now thinking about it. It's exciting, guys. So stay tuned, Gromies. We'll talk about drawing next week. And until then, I hope you have a great night.